Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner. Welcome to another episode of Go Play Esports. It's good to be back, Season 2, Episode 1. It's been a long time. During COVID, we cranked out at least 30 to 32 episodes back-to-back. And, due to what I do, my day-to-day, we had to take a little break, but we're back. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be on video. This is a new endeavor for us, but we're going to keep it rolling. Today's guest, his name is Corey Rosemond. He's the Vice President of Business and Operations for NACON Gaming Americas. I'm going to let him introduce himself later on in the podcast and kind of get into some details. But, I have to speak on this election that's coming up. I know it's not esports related, but just make sure you go out and vote. Make sure you go out and cast your vote tomorrow. It's very important. This is probably the biggest election that we had in the history of our country as far as numbers. And so I had to address that and just want to address it from that standpoint, not taking sides, not telling people who to go vote for, but just vote, make your voice heard. So I'm going to get into our sponsors. We actually have Vertigear gaming chair. It's a new sponsor, new title sponsor for the show. I'm happy to have them on as a partner. Just continue to grow our relationship with them and continue to kind of move forward with them. And, they decided to hop on the ride with Go Play Esports and myself. So let's go to and pay our sponsor a little treat from a commercial. All right, short and sweet. Go to vertigear.com. Make sure you look at those selections of chairs. It's actually the chair I'm sitting in now, the chair that I sit in every day. But without any further ado, I'd like to add Corey Rosemond to the show. What's going on, Corey? How you doing?
Hear me okay?
There you go. We're here.
Okay, apologies for that. I think Alexa went off and I muted at the same time, so all good. How's it going? How are you doing, man?
It's going good, man. I'll tell this quick story. Corey and I met through a mutual friend. I found out that Corey is a Louisiana boy like myself, and we developed a great relationship, and he's great people. So could you just tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Corey Rosemond, Vice President of Business Operations for NACON Americas and co-founder of the RIG brand. RIG is a gaming headset brand and an overall gaming brand that was started back in 2012 while we were at Plantronics. And over the years, what we were able to do was to really just create the preeminent live esports headset, the RIG Commander Pro, that has really become the go-to headset for live esports worldwide. We've been part of games like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Madden, you name it. If it's a major esport, they used our headsets over the years. And that really allowed us to get a pretty significant share overall with consumers and with gamers, and especially competitive gamers. That's who we specialize and function in. Our overall motto is gear up and get good. And by that, what we mean is, our headsets are about gearing up, having the tools you need to win, and then get good. It's whenever you see a professional player whenever you see someone that's winning, that's really good in esports and in football, basketball, traditional sports, there's a lot of hard work behind that. And Get Good is all about getting the gear that you need and practicing and fine-tuning it and having the right tools be what you need to get better and to be the best that you can be from a competitive gaming standpoint. And previous to this, I worked on Xbox, worked at Dell and HP in various gaming roles to really come to this point and being part of RIG and RIG being part of the NACON family, which is an international gaming accessory and publisher that we're really proud to be part of. And that's me overall, and happy to be here and answer any questions you may have.
For sure. I want to kind of dive in, like with the climate, social climate that we're in now, as far as like, racial tension in the country. Mm-hmm. And I know esports is it's been around for a while, but we're a fairly new industry, right?
Right.
And looking at other forms of sports, I wanted to see exactly what were your thoughts of the process about diversity and inclusion, not just from an African American standpoint, but women, different sexes and so forth and so on.
Yeah, I mean, good question. I would say esports or even traditional sports, they're a microcosm of society. So first and foremost, esports is very new. It is a fairly level playing field, but, obviously things come up and have taken place within esports, much like they have in the, broader part of society. For the most part, I would say it definitely tends to be more isolated. For example, if you can compete, if you can play, if you can be successful, you will be able to reap those benefits. But that being said, there have been incidents of racism, name calling, people being mad that someone that doesn't look like them or like they perceive that is actually really good from an esport. And, I've heard things as bad as, oh, wait, referring to Black folks playing, they're coming for us in the sense of playing. And that's similar to what you see of other innovators in any other sport. If you listen to what Black hockey players have mentioned, or look no further than Bubba Wallace in NASCAR. Sport is sport and competition is competition. But there are people in this country and in the world who get intimidated because of their own insecurities. And I'm here to say it on the record live. They get intimidated because of their own insecurities, and they lash out by, or some racist statement or some belief that they expect others to buy into. What I can say is that whenever that's normally come up, it has been addressed. Where esports is different than traditional sports is that, for example, League of Legends and Counter-Strike or Call of Duty, they're owned by a legal entity of a company versus, no one owns football or basketball, if you will. But these games are owned by companies that want to do the right thing. The last thing they want to do is be perceived as being intolerant or exclusive or, not catering to everybody, because, they want gamers, they want an audience, they want a community of as many people as humanly possible. And that is not just a singular or a couple of different ethnicity groups. They want everybody playing. Mm-hmm. And so obviously anything that excludes or insults or just goes to the level of racism is just really not tolerated. Now, I know that's an ideal. I mean, in reality, things play out, but I would say it's the intention of the industry as a whole to eradicate racism wherever they find it. That being said, there are people online. If anybody is a gamer, especially an online gamer, you probably have seen or come across that. And as much as the industry can try to eradicate as much as they can, when you got, 50 million people concurrent at any one given time online playing the game or on Twitch, you just take the bad apple 1% rule. That's going to mean that you're going to have 500,000 people acting up at any given time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I tell my kids and to really don't pay any mind to people that are like on the headsets talking really, really a lot of mess or on the stream typing racial slurs and such. So have you saw like a better engagement or less racial tension since you've been in the industry?
Yeah, actually, I can say that. And I mean, I know some of the things I've done I can and can't speak to. What I can speak to is I've worked directly with some of the main online platforms where people are communicating. I won't give those names, but what I will say is that, and maybe I've been in this industry for over 20 years as an African American, as a Black man, and for a long time, I may have been the only one in the room, or the only one that decision makers even knew of to even ask or bounce anything off. And so I actually got involved with a couple online platforms late 2000s, like 2008, 2010. And, they wanted to see if we could come up with a plan to try to address this. And some of the key findings that we came up with was, we need to start giving bans and suspensions, frankly. We need to create the mechanisms to be able, if someone reports it, to actually allow us to timestamp that and go back and see where did the offense take place. And yeah, it's in your terms and conditions. I mean, anytime anybody's playing a game and they're talking online, the platforms you're on have the right to record that. That shouldn't be an alert to anybody listening.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you think that your conversations on, PlayStation Plus or a Steam or Xbox Live or Twitch or Facebook or Instagram are private, I mean, even if you're in a private group, by the way, they're not private. I'm sorry, it's in the terms and conditions. Go read the EULA, End User Licensing Agreement. For those that don't know, any platform you use has one. It's required by law. And read it. And yeah, it's like if you print it out, it's like 20 pages long. But if you read it, in there buried is, oh yeah, we reserve the right to record you. So that being said, okay, we had a mechanism where for the project I was working on, people were able to report it, and then we got the voice stream for the entire match. So you can go back and listen through. And I'll tell you what happened. You hear, for lack of a better term, I use a generic little Johnny is like just raging at people and saying the words racist, abusive type things to somebody because they're losing, because they're winning, doesn't matter why. And we're able to look up the account and you suspend it. And the funniest thing that happened, and this tended to be the majority, some people, they got suspended, they just went away. You never heard back from them. Just, I don't know what happened. They probably went out and created a new account and started all over again. But what we did come in contact with was you get the inquiry from little Johnny's parent, because now it's not working. And so little Johnny complains to mom or dad or grandma. And then they call in to tech support or whatever, like, why is this not working? I paid for this service or whatever, this access is not working. And then you look it up like, yeah, they've been banned for abusive language and behavior. Oh, not my little Johnny. And on this project in particular, it was such that we actually were able to share with that individual the actual recording. Of course, the people, I'm a lawyer. You can't record my kid like that. Here's a EULA. Well, they're only 11 years old. Here's also where it says not for anyone under the age of 13. Mm-hmm. So technically, you're in violation for letting them use it. It's on your credit card. My point is, the net is, once that was exposed, you had a lot of people that, for the most part, they think this because they knew it once they heard the recording. That's little Johnny. They know their child's voice. And by child, I mean, someone was as young as 11, but most 14, 16, 17. I will say it did make a bit of a difference. Mm-hmm. Not only because of individuals, but it's almost in a weird way, word of mouth. This project went on for several months, and then word just started to get out there and people start saying stuff like, if somebody says something kind of abusive, hey, you're going to get narked, or whatever they would say, to be like, yo, don't do this. They're going to bust you because I've heard and this and that. So, that was one of the material things that I personally worked on, where I can say major companies are doing things. Now, do they want to necessarily broadcast that? No, which is the reason why I won't go into the companies I've worked with on those projects. But what I can say is that there is work being done. But at the same time, platforms are so open and there's so many people that much of that gets buried in the noise. And so the one thing I would tell anyone, if you feel like you have been disrespected, treated a certain way, you do have a right to file that report. You do have a right to let people know. And it's true, while you may not hear what happens after the fact, I can say from firsthand experience, there are people out there working to improve it and make it better. If not from the goodness of their hearts, to ensure they have the best community possible so that they can, have a good, engaging community and monetize that for the betterment of their business. So my point to you is, don't even think that it's a altruistic type of goal. It's just good business. It's just good community to have really a zero tolerance for abusive behavior. And that applies beyond racism, sexism, religion, sexual orientation, and other things.
Yeah. So, I'm in K through 12 education. And so, right now I'm teaching a gaming concept class, and we talk about toxic behavior. Like, what can we do as a community, or, even parents and teachers, to kind of prep this next generation not to be as toxic as this one?
Yeah, that's a good question. First and foremost, there's something to be said for the just good old fashioned home training. Like,
sure,
people, people that act and treat a certain way inside of a household, you set that expectation. Of course, I'm not trying to call out any parents or what have you, but if kids will emulate behavior they see. And so my point in saying that is, if this is something they're not used to seeing, they're not used to doing, that's always the first step. And that's probably more my personal opinion than my professional opinion in representing any particular company. I'm saying that a lot of it starts there, number one, but that goes without saying for most people, let's be honest.
Sure.
Number two is, I believe in this. There's no right to privacy, especially with kids. We're talking K through 12 in terms of your students. There's no right to privacy when you're online gaming. The expectation I've set up with my kids is that I reserve every right to snoop, listen, be part of anything you're doing, period. Why? Because I'm your parent. This is not some private chat where if I come in the door and you're talking, keep talking. Don't stop on my behalf. Because there shouldn't be anything that you're talking about that's going to cause an issue. And I'm not trying to tell people how to parent. My point is telling some of my best practices and those of other folks I know, and to be aware. Especially during this pandemic, there's a lot of time everybody's stuck in the house, and a lot of times, folks will feel like, okay, yeah, my kid's off playing for the next 3 hours, and all right, I can watch a movie or whatever. My point is be mindful of what they're doing and go in and listen and hear what's going on, and make sure that, if your child is 14 or 15 and now all of a sudden they're part of a new gaming, informal gaming team full of 25-year-olds, that might be a red flag.
Exactly.
Especially if these are people you don't know. I know that sounds, extraordinary, but that can happen any day, any time, especially your child's 14. They're really good. Other people notice them. They friend them. They wanted them to join a team. And these are adults that are now engaging with your child. And, sure, if you know it, you understand what they're doing, everything's above board, That I'm not saying it shouldn't have. I'm not saying it shouldn't have. I'm just saying you want to be aware of it. Like, I mean, here's a perfect analogy. If your child is really good at basketball and they go to the local gym, Gold's Gym, 24 Hour, whatever gym, but now they're getting into a pickup game with adults. And honestly, from what I've seen, like a lot of NBA players were that good to where they're playing pickup games with adults as teenagers. Mm-hmm. However, from the feedback I've seen, is like they're aware of it, they know about it, and for example, if that pickup team is going to go drive 3 hours away to go play at some other gym and hang out for the evening, maybe that 14 to 15-year-old just has to say, all right, you got to do that without me, unless my parents do. I make that up as a hypothetical. My point is, using that as an analogy to the real world, the same thing applies to online gaming, except that virtual trip to somewhere 3 hours away and they're just going to do whatever they do, it's all taking place online while you're just sitting right inside your house.
Yeah,
so
of course.
You want to be on top of that. You want to monitor that. So, I mean, my advice would be to parents is, one, be mindful of things, and at the same time, support your kids the way you would with any other passion they had, whether they be a musician, an artist, or an athlete. There's a common set of behaviors and guidelines and expectations you set up with that child. And I think if you apply those same thoughts to esports, it can be productive and it can be a safe environment for all involved. And if something, out of the ordinary happens, you can nip it in the bud because you're aware and you're part of that activity that they do.
Yeah. So I wanted, and thank you for all that insight and knowledge. I wanted to kind of go back for a second and talk about your contribution to your major contribution to esports, which is the Commander headset. Like, I have a few questions for you. Like, what was that feeling to finally see it on the main stage? And let's start there. Let's go there for a second.
Yeah, it was amazing because I started at Plantronics on the Rig brand and building that up in 2012 in earnest. And, there was probably 6 months of a lot of research that we had to do and just strategizing and planning. And just to go and see, these headsets up there and things that I'm like, there's an opportunity for us. And then to fast forward, no more than 12 to 18 months later, and we worked on it internally, and really, I mean, some amazing people did a lot of work to get this headset positioned and modified to where it would work in esports stage. When this headset originally has been used by the military for aircraft carriers, submarines, even Air Force One has some of these headsets on them, all the AWACS planes with the Air Force, but it had to have some modifications to it because, for example, those headsets cannot literally be shipped to any country that's not a NATO country. And the NATO countries are mostly your Western European powers, Turkey and the US, Canada. And so, there's a tournament in China, a tournament in Russia. You can't bring those headsets there. So we had to make some modifications that essentially demilitarized the headsets, but still left in the technology needed for live esports. And so it's hard for me to describe the excitement I had when I actually got to see our headsets on stage, knowing that the work that went into it, the demands, frankly, that you think about a Riot Games, you think about a Valve, ESL. These are demanding companies because they demand a lot of themselves. So they're going to obviously demand a lot of any partners that they work with. And being able to meet that bar, I mean, it's just, there's nothing like it in terms of just that pride and feeling that that you set out to do something and really accomplished it.
And so, right away, you sent me a pair. And by the way, Corey was gracious enough to sponsor my kids here at Southern University Laboratory School. And right away, when I picked it up and put it over my ears to kind of try it out to see, I thought like helicopter pilot, Army. Talk about like that type of rig headset and how it can do to like noise cancellation, I would assume, in a big arena.
Yeah, so good question. The Rig Commander Pro, what it actually does and enables is it enables passive noise cancellation as opposed to active noise cancellation. And, active noise cancellation, think about your Beats, your Bose, headsets like that, the $300 music headsets that everybody listens to or has or aspires to have. The challenge with those headsets is they use a bunch of microphones to actually actively eliminate the noise around your environment. Originally designed to eliminate the noise of an airplane engine because it's a constant flow. However, active noise cancellation does not and is not able to accurately drown out multiple frequencies that are varying significantly. So, for example, an audience at an esports event, active noise cancellation is just made for a steady noise, and it will drown that noise out. However, an audience, they go up and down, and active noise cancellation doesn't work. So what do you need? You need passive noise cancellation, which is what the Rig Commander Pro has. It means we need to require electricity to actually drown out those noises. Now, one other aspect, and all this is well documented now, so I can speak about it publicly, is that the Rig Commander Pro blocks out certain frequencies, but yet the frequency of a human voice in close proximity is not blocked out. Now, why was that created? As the story goes, in wartime, there are situations where everything is noise is all around you, but if you're literally within 5 feet of me and I need to tell you something really quick and it's not through the microphone, I just need to shout it, you want that person to be able to hear it. Let's just say, without going into detail, there's military implications for me being able to tell you really quick and for you to know exactly what I said, even with the headset on. But yet, I don't know, the sound of an airplane jet can be right over you, so it's deafening, but still have the ability that my voice is going to sound clearer with the headset on than if it was off.
Off, yeah.
Yeah, so without going into too much detail, we do have that ability, and those type of use cases and that type of technology in a form factor that is a headset was something that, like I said, a lot of the leading esports providers and tournament organizers found revolutionary and actually allowed them to go beyond. And some of your listeners and viewers may recall this. There was a point in time 10 years ago where people to do esports had to be in these big glass enclosures. Soundproof booths. Yeah. I'm proud to say we were the contributors to the elimination of those soundproof booths, because what the Rig Commander Pro enabled was for you to have people out in the open that you didn't need to have the soundproof booth to still get the benefit of the teams talking to each other, could yell to each other, but yet at the same time drown out this live audience, which could be anywhere from, 50 to 50,000 people.
Wow. That's amazing, man. And so kind of getting to like the last minutes of the show, I really wanted to ask you this question before we actually got off live. You being, 20 plus years in the business, what would you tell the next generation of like esports leaders? Like what would be some key takeaway points?
Key takeaway points. I would say, first off, education is important. I stress that. I believe that while not everybody has a graduate, a college, even a high school degree, that's a big contributor in esports. It is something that will increase your likelihood and chances of success. The main areas that esports wants and needs are people, everything from computer science, business, marketing, law, mass communications, sports administration, all at the college and graduate level. It's the education you need to take this industry seriously, to be able to move, work, and organize in a meaningful way, be it if you're working directly on the game or as a tournament organizer. I believe it comes down to talent, preparation, engagement. Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours to master a subject or to master something.
Strong believer in that.
You got to put in the time. I think a lot of time I see a lot of people that want to get into esports and want to get into gaming, and you got to invest the time and you got to trust the process. It's the same way as someone playing a professional sport or, frankly, an entertainer. Mm-hmm. People don't realize that you look at someone that's an entertainer, name your favorite artist, and people think that, they just, go into the studio and drop some bars and get some beats going and that's it. No, that's not how it works. You got to put in a lot of time, dedication, effort, and work and time and hit and miss, and then you craft it over time. The same thing applies to esports. Whether you're a player, a streamer, an influencer, whether you're developing and designing games, whether you're doing business deals and legal agreements, you got to put in a lot of time to get to that point, a lot of trial and error to be able to be expert in it. The good news is, I will say, in today's date, you really have opportunities like now with esports getting to the high school and college level to actually hone those skills while, frankly, on tuition, while from and board, while you're still kind of, if you will, on the runway before takeoff. That's the way I look at it. I look at education as giving you the longest runway possible to go as fast as you want to go so that when you take off, your chances of success, frankly, are higher.
Sure.
Because you've had longer runway. It's not to say that some people don't need a lot of runway. They can just get in. I would encourage people to check out the documentary Free to Play. It's on YouTube. It's available now. It gives you some perspective to how, especially being like a player in esports, how some people are betting their entire careers and their livelihoods on going for this. I think in the U.S. you have a little more safety net than like China, for example. But, it's something that you got to be committed to. You're not going to get good at esports, anything you do within esports, just doing it, on the side. You got to be as committed to it as someone would be doing anything else, be it music, law, engineering, medicine. Yeah, you got to put in the time.
Put in the time. Man, so Corey, thank you for coming on, man. This is season 2, episode 1, and I'm gonna give you a couple seconds to plug anything you got going on. I know it's holiday season.
It's holiday season. Yeah, I can tell you, Rig Gaming headsets. If anybody's interested in learning and seeing more about them, they're actually on display at a number of retailers. We have strategic partnership with Walmart. You actually can see, touch, and feel the Rig headset at a Walmart, which has become much more a destination for gamers than I think people would have thought a year ago. But with the pandemic, Walmart was the only spot open, and so that's a great place to go and get yourself a Rig headset for Xbox, for PlayStation, for PC. Obviously, GameStop, Best Buy, Target is another one, and they're available online at Amazon.com. We actually have the exclusive white edition of the Rig headsets available on Amazon. And I would tell everybody, like I said before, for Rig, gear up and get good. We do make a lightweight, comfortable headset that is really made to allow and enable you to be competitive. It doesn't, I'll be the first to say, it doesn't light up. There's no LED lights on it. Why? It's not something you need. It takes away, in my opinion, makes it heavier. It's not something you're going to see while you're gaming. And what you want is the lightweight, comfortable headset that really allows and enables you to be the best you can. And as we're still in the pandemic and stay-at-home orders, I think that these are some of the best headsets you could ever have if you got to do virtual schooling, or even some people have to do work from home. These are the headsets, in my opinion, you just want to put on that are super lightweight, really comfortable. and you can find yourself wearing for hours without getting that headache or getting that uncomfortable feeling you'll get from heavier headsets.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Right now, I have the Rig 400s on, and they're lightweight. They're so lightweight, and the quality is still there. That's what I like about it. And I teach virtually every day and use them. So it's awesome. Awesome product, brother. And I thank you for coming on once again.
Thank you. My pleasure, Chris.
Hi, that was Corey Rosemond. This is Christopher Turner, your host of Go Play Esports. Thank you for tuning in to the first live episode 1, season 2. I look forward to you guys coming back every week rather. First of all, I have to thank Corey for coming on again. I thank all the support that we've had in the past. I know last season we got over 1,000 listens, and so hopefully we can get some more views and listens this season around. Thanks to Vertigear, which is the title sponsor for Go Play Esports right now. Look for the episodes to be uploaded to Apple, Google, wherever you can go listen to podcasts. We were streaming live today on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. Before we head out, let me pay tribute to Foxy Gaming. They're a partner of Go Play Esports. If you go to foxygaming.com/GoPlayES, you can get you some discounts on these gaming glasses right here. They're pretty great, pretty lightweight. They protect your eyes from the blue light. So let's go into that right now. And we're back. Like I said before, same time, same place. Go Play Esports podcast powered by Vertigear, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time every Monday. Have a great day. Go Play Esports.